Get started and let everybody keep joining us. So my name is Laura Jackson. I am the volunteer coordinator of the Resident Services Program at AHC. I really appreciate y'all coming. We're going to be talking about reading tonight. We're going to be talking about the Zoom features and how to read together with the students when we're in the Zoom breakout rooms. Let me assure you that we're not expecting any of you or all of you to be Zoom experts. We're not expecting you to be reading experts, but we're excited that you're taking the time to learn more and appreciate you joining us on this journey and wanting to be a supportive presence with our students during this unusual start to the school year. So, all right. I am going to start by sharing my screen and exploring the Arlington Public Library with you. So if you do not know how to share screen, this is going to be a really important tool for you in Zoom. You should have a menu bar on the bottom of your screen, or let me say, I have a menu bar on the bottom of my screen. I'm using a computer in Zoom. The format does look a little bit different if you're using an iPhone or you're using an iPad, a tablet, but you should have a main menu bar somewhere and the share screen is right in the middle. I'm going to use the share screen for now, but when you're working with your students in a breakout room, you will be able to share your screen and show students books or explore the library with them, which is what we're going to do now. So I am going to share my screen. And I do already have the library and a book open. You will need to have a web browser open before you do share screen. Arlington Public Library has a lot of great resources. You can get a library card for free and you can get it online. You don't need to go in. So if you are in school in Arlington, if you live in Arlington, if you work in Arlington, if you live anywhere in the communities around Arlington, like Falls Church, Alexandria, you can get an Arlington library card. So I encourage all of you to do that. You're not required to do it, but they do have a lot of great resources. So that is, I think you can see my cursor circling around the join now. So that is how you would do that. And I'm already signed into my account, but once you join, you'll be able to log in under my account. So we are going to go together and look at the e-collection. And they have audiobooks, which is, I don't think, going to be appropriate and the easiest thing to use by Zoom, but if you want to do that on your own. They have digital magazines, like they have the National Geographic Kids and they have other things. I haven't even looked at the learning tools and the research tools. You're welcome to explore all of that on your own, but tonight we're going to look at the e-books. So under e-books, Arlington has 5 choices. Book Flicks, the top one is for kids. It's for pre-K through grades 3. I'm not going to look at that tonight, but you're welcome to explore that on your own. The next 3 look to be a little bit more research oriented. Perhaps if you're working with teens, you'll end up looking at some of those. Science fair projects, I'm not really sure. I haven't explored those. I am going down to Overdrive. So Overdrive is an app. You can use it just through the web browser or you can download the app. So. All right, so now we are at arlingtonoverdrive.com. You can search by subject. You can search by collections. You can search by the things that are adapted to Kindle. But we're going to look at the kids. And later when you're in the breakout room, if you're going to be working with teens, you're welcome to explore on the teens. But for now, we'll explore on the kids. You'll see right here in the middle that they're talking about Libby. Libby is another app I've heard that it's very user-friendly if you're looking for books on your phone, but it'll get you to these same books that we're going to look at now. So it's just a different format to look at the books. Then you'll see that they have them organized by section, kids' books. So kids' graphic novels, early chapter books. If you are new to working with elementary school students, you can think about early chapter books as roughly being grades 3 through 5. And all of this is just little estimates to get you thinking. It'll really depend on the students, 1 or 2 students that you're working with, what level they're on. But chapter books are older elementary school. They have books in Spanish. They have early readers. So these are going to be for the younger elementary school ages, but again, depending on the reading level of your student. You'll see that they have numbers, level 2, level 2, level 2. That is not necessarily going to correspond to the grade at all. And then picture books. Picture books are also great for the younger elementary school grades. Some of them will have more sophisticated words. Some of them won't. If you have time, I encourage you to look at books in advance. And that'll be, helpful, especially when you get to know your student a little bit more, know their level, maybe know their interests. I picked out a book about Franklin the turtle to share with you. So one more little tip is that a lot of our students are going to be interacting with you on their phone, on their parents' phone. So these words might look small to them, and something that you might want to practice is changing the view and zooming in. So I'm going to zoom in one more time. I don't know if anybody here is on their phone, but perhaps you can see these words now and you can still see the picture of Franklin.
How did you change the view?
That's up on the very top menu bar for me under Chrome, because I'm using Chrome as my web browser. It says view and I'm able to zoom in. A shortcut for me is Command and the plus sign. That's something that you can do on a Word document, on an Excel document. So you'll have to find how that works best on your computer or what you're using. Any other questions? And you're welcome to write me questions. You're welcome to speak up or to write questions in the chat.
This was Patty. I was muted. Control plus on a Mac will increase the size of the screen.
Great. Okay.
And is this, I'm sorry, one more quick question. This is Christine. Is the system pretty browser neutral, or is Chrome preferred?
Wow, great question. No idea. Does anybody know the answer to that?
What system? The library?
I'm a Safari user, but
Safari.
I know some.
I
okay.
use Safari. I use Safari and do the library. It works.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Good. Okay.
I have a question. This is Nancy. Is it better to look at the book in the browser or in the Kindle app?
I think the Kindle app works great. So if you have Kindle, and let me actually, I can go back to that. If we click on a book, it does ask us, so borrow is what we want to do. And then at that point, it'll ask you if you want to borrow onto the Kindle, download onto a Kindle, or if you want to look at it through their system, the Overdrive system that's part of the library. So it will ask you that after you've selected borrow. And I would recommend Kindle.
Laura, I think you could go ahead and go through that borrow if you want to show them, because I don't think it'll be fighting over Judy Moody going to college.
Let's see.
You can turn it back in later, but that'll show them.
Yeah, so I can borrow it for 21 days. All right, so there you go. You can read it now with Kindle. You can read it now in the browser.
Better.
Or download it. And that download, that EPUB ebook is going to go, then you'll have to get the Overdrive app. Does that make sense? So you have 3 choices of how you look at it. Let's see. I just picked in my browser. And, okay. So you might want to play around with this in advance before you do it with your students. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing more than that right now.
If
Maybe
people are already comfortable with Kindle, that's probably the most comfortable. It just goes in your book, with your book, and it can take it away when the library date comes up. You don't even have to do anything. It will disappear from your account.
All right, well, I'm going to go back to Franklin since that one was not frozen up. It was where I wanted it to be. And I'm going to show you the annotate features. So let's see. My main menu bar, and this is, I'm the host screen sharing. So this is how I find annotate, and you will, when you're working with the student, you will be the host. So come on back. On my main menu bar, near that share button, when I'm doing my screen share, there's something called annotate. And you can't see any of this right now, but it gives you options. This is, I do want you to find it once you're in your breakout room, try to find this annotate. And so I can do a text box and I can write Franklin, or I could write river and bank to show the student that river and bank, it looks like a long word, but it's really 2 words. I can use a drawing pen to underline river and bank. They have stamps, so I could put a stamp by a word that I think might be hard for them, straight. And then we can practice that before we get to it, or practice that at the end, go back and review some words. So the annotate has some good features. And again, I'm really not expecting everyone to be perfect at this, to get it right away. Your students actually might know how to annotate. They might start drawing on the screen. Hey, I can draw a soccer ball. So you might need to refocus them to doing the reading and then draw their soccer ball at the end. But it's just all features that you can use. If nothing else, you should be able to use your cursor to read along with the students. Franklin could slide down a riverbank. Riverbank. You could use that cursor at the end of every line so that as they're reading each line, you can move your cursor down. And your student will be seeing the same screen that you're seeing, so they should be able to do that as well. Any questions about that?
Laura, is it fair to give a quick thing that you would only ask a student that could read, or at least was not struggling to read that? Otherwise, it's a read to the student book.
Yes, I was picking this page of Franklin because it has lots of room for us to draw and stamp, but it is going to be, this is quite a few words, so this is going to be, I think, certainly not a kindergartner and first grader reading this, I would think.
So Laura, when you say the student might say, I can draw a soccer ball, can he or she draw on my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, both I and they have control of the cursor. Oh, but I don't have control of your cursor.
So I have control of my cursor, Look, Patty is the one who highlighted Franklin and highlighted straight for me here. So, and she just made that circle.
Yeah, we can all draw on it right now. I put in the chat it should be at the top of that shared screen that you have. It says view options, and if you click the caret at the bottom is annotate, and then you get the menu, which includes the text, draw, stamp, arrow, so you can go crazy too.
I see.
I see it. Very
Okay.
Now, I believe, Laura, can you go to, as the host, can you go to the shared screen and go to advanced share, and one participant, but you can say who can share. You could do only the host.
I think I have, before I got started, I wanted to make sure that everybody could use it.
But I'm wondering if that would knock off that a student at the time couldn't also write all over the book, because they may get distracted if many of them know now how to write on things, and for some students it can be a distraction while they're reading. So I'm not sure if there's a way for you to block the annotation until you're opening it up to be annotated.
I don't know the answer to that. Again, because that's once we're in breakout rooms, I don't know if we have the ability to limit who is doing the annotating. I don't know that we have a way to label one person as the volunteer and one person as the student. So I'm afraid that our volunteers will be directing our students and redirecting them when they get distracted by the annotation.
How can you tell who's annotating?
Peter just did the arrow.
This is fun.
It is a lot of fun, and you're going to get to practice it all in the breakout room. Nancy, when you are working with students, you know, say it's you in a group with 3 students in a breakout room, and I think you're just going to have to ask them, unless they so nicely label themselves like Peter did. So you might just have to say, who's putting hearts all over my screen? Let's stop that until we finish all the words on this page, and then I'll let you add your hearts. So I don't know that we will be able to do that. Okay, let me see.
Laura, I have a question.
Yes.
If you can hear me. When you download it onto the Kindle, I have a Kindle that's a separate thing from my laptop.
Yes.
And I assume that the students have a Kindle. If they have one, it's separate from the laptop. But I don't think that's what we're doing here.
So Screen Share has an option that you can share, that you can pair with your Kindle. I think it's, or with your iPad. I think it's called mirroring. And so you can either do that through Bluetooth, or you can do that with a cord. And so that you'll both be looking at your Kindle, we're not saying that you'll have a Kindle and that they'll have a Kindle, so that you're sharing the same screen, so that you can flip the page, you're staying on the same pages together. Does that make sense?
I don't think it does it with a Kindle. It'll do it with the Kindle app on an iPad.
Yeah, but I'm using a computer.
You can put the Kindle app on the computer, whether it's a Mac or a PC.
Oh, good.
And then you just pull it up. Laura, if you'll allow me, I'll share my Kindle real quick.
Okay, I am going to stop sharing.
There.
I did the right thing, and
Patty is a good host, so she can.
You have still locked us out.
and I am only sharing my Kindle, so I didn't choose to share my whole computer. I'm just sharing my Kindle.
And that's your Kindle app on your computer.
Yeah,
Okay.
So I just have, but these would be samples that I can have a child pick a book from, or I can bring the book from the library down to my Kindle.
And the student then would read it from your computer.
Right. So an example, if I pulled up Triple Pet Trouble, we can look at what the chapter is, and then we can go into the chapter. And then, if you play with your Kindle app on a computer, you'll see where you can go, no, it's the size. You can pick what size of text you want. So if I wanted to increase the size of the text, I can do this. Hold on a minute. I thought I did it. Font size.
Great, great. Thank you.
Something like that.
And for people who don't have Kindle, Kindle is a free app. So a Kindle device is not free, but the Kindle app is free. So you can download that and then download the books from the Arlington Library onto that Kindle app. There are a few other sites that I know of that have books, and I'm going to include that in an email later. So if you don't want to get a Arlington Library account, you can use one of these other sites and see what books they have. Okay, we're going to go into breakout rooms in a few minutes, but we've got Patty here with us. She is a AHC volunteer. She's also a reading specialist, and so she's going to just talk a little bit more about how to pick out good books for your students. And I realize that most of you have not gotten started with your students. You don't necessarily know what age you're going to be working with, but you will soon. So,
Laura, if you want to pull up the Franklin book first to start, and as an example, or pull up the website where you can look at like the picture books. So one thing to think about, we've got it most time in our breakouts during the after school program, we've got basically 30 minutes to enter, and then we're kind of pulled out, right? The chat kind of ends when it's time for the students to come back into program. So you want to pick your book and look at it ahead of time. Is your goal to pick a book that you're going to complete reading so you can talk about what's going on in the story and you're really working towards the comprehension side? Or are you wanting to pick a book that the student's going to be really practicing their reading skills? How to meet new words, how to meet words that they should just know to be able to read online. You do that by choosing which book you're going to pick. In the library website, first comment I'd make is probably for your kindergartners to second grade. If you think about that, we lost pretty much almost a half a year last year, your second graders are really late first graders. So if they were ahead of the curve, they may be at a second grade reading level. But if they were behind in the first grade mark, then they're going to be behind in the second grade mark. So for some of them, I would look down to the picture books. Or it's taking us down there now. The benefit with picture books is you're going to really get into letting the child enjoy a real story. You're going to get into the story idea. This is why things like the Franklin books, the Curious George books, those become good stories to read together. There's a Franklin Goes to School, Curious George, First Day of School. On Goes to School, you can even read something like that and talk about the difference of, here's going to school when you went to school, but what's been the difference this year of going to school? What do you find you like, don't like? Things that allow you to get into conversation would be the benefit of the picture books. Pete the Cat are good picture books too. All of the kids know of Pete the Cat. It's a good series. I would probably steer away from things like the Star Wars or some of the Disney books. They're kind of fillers they're typically ones that a library gets because they want to buy certain books, but to buy the good book they want, they end up with a bunch of stuff that they get kind of for free. And you can look at them and see if you can make some kind of a connection between the book and the child and what either what they enjoy or something that when you read it, you find a great story and good points for conversation. Most of those books are not going to be ones that kids can read, except as you saw the Franklin book, I could take a third grader into a book like that, or even a second grader that's really online with second grade reading and have them practice reading a page like that. So that would be the example of the use of the picture books.
Yeah. And I realized one more thing that I didn't point out before, but if y'all can see my screen, right at the top, it says available. And so all of these books that it's showing us right now are available, but we did do a search. What was the name of the cat? Pete the Cat?
Pete the Cat, right.
So Patty told me that those were great books, and we did a search, and you can see that there's a wait list for some books. So just that's something to note as you are looking for books. You can certainly plan ahead, get on the wait list, wait until you get that book. But the available ones are the ones that you'll be able to read right then with that orange bar on the top.
This is a good page too then to do the example of, and here's where Pete the Cat is a book that's, they're either written in picture book format, so that's where you see Pete the Cat in the white socks. I love my white socks. Or to the right, you see an I Can Read. Now, a lot of those books are on wait list, but those are step readers, if you want to call it that. And this is an example of one that she's clicking on, or that she's right next. The I Can Reads are ones to do a shared reading with a student that's probably at least at a good mid-level first grade reader. If you want to show the difference of the words, we can only see a sample in that one. I think somewhere we found one that was available.
Let's see. And we are running out of time. We need to go out the breakout room in just a second. So let's see.
These are examples of books that you can work together, and you can be like, you as a teacher can read the first page. Pete the Cat is excited. He is going scuba diving. But as Laura did, she was dragging her little cursor underneath the words. And then you can ask and say, now let's read it together. So you can have the student now read together with you as you track underneath the words. And then if they're doing okay, then you say, why don't you go ahead now and read the page? And you just be kind of a whisperer behind the scenes if there's a word they're struggling on. If they got all the way through that page, but they got to seahorse and you saw them starting to stop, you just whisper seahorse, and give them a hint so they can keep going with the page. But that's what the difference in the style of a book. I can do that with a child in this book. I couldn't have done it with Franklin if the child couldn't read that page.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Patty. Okay.